I blew out 30 candles, and across the room my husband dropped to one knee for another woman. 200 guests. A live band. My birthday banner still hanging over the stage. By then Joel and I had 11 years of marriage, a house in Springdale with both our names on the deed, and a design firm I built from one laptop into a business worth $1.8 million. He had been planning this night for weeks. So had I, he thought he was holding a ring box. He had no idea what I had already put inside it. And neither did the woman smiling at the edge of the stage. There was a phone in his gym bag that he never let me touch. We'll come back to that phone. It's the reason any of this was even possible. By the end, you'll know exactly what was folded inside that velvet box when he opened it at the podium, and the name of the woman who taught me how to put it there. Let me back up 4 months. It started with the cloud. We shared one account for photos, the kids' school stuff, receipts. One Sunday, I opened it to find a tax document and saw a hotel charge instead. The Carlton, 3 nights, $940. I didn't scream. I refilled his coffee and asked how his conference in Dayton had gone. Long, he said. Boring, you know how it is. The Carlton is in Springdale, 20 minutes from our front door. I went back into the cloud that night. The receipts kept loading, a jewelry store, a spa package for 2. A dinner at a steakhouse where the bill came to $312 and the reservation was under Greer, party of 2. I was home that night. I remember because I'd made him a plate and covered it in foil. Then a folder sink that wasn't mine. Photos, hundreds of them. A woman I didn't know in places I paid for. Her name was Heather Cromwell. And the look on his face when that box opened was worth every quiet night I spent planning it. Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the ending, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. She had an account that wasn't private enough. I found it in 9 minutes. There she was, wrist out in front of a car I'd co-signed. Spoiled rotten, the caption said. He takes such good care of me. He took care of her with my money, the firm's money, the account I funded. He got bolder at home, too. One night he ate the dinner I'd saved for our daughter, straight from the container, standing at the counter while he texted. I asked who it was. Group chat, he said, and turned the screen away. He started taking my car because his was always low on gas. Mine came back on empty with a parking stub from the Carlton in the cup holder. He didn't even bother to hide it. He drained my good coffee, the expensive bag I order for myself, and left it open to go stale. 11 years, he never touched it. Now he made 2 cups every morning and carried one out in a travel mug I never saw again. I scrolled for an hour. A weekend in Asheville, the same weekend he told me he was visiting his brother. A handbag that cost more than our mortgage payment. A diamond bracelet she filmed slow, turning it under the light. I screenshotted all of it. Then I closed the laptop and went to make the kids' lunches. The next morning, Joel asked if I'd seen his good watch. I had. It was in a photo on Heather's nightstand. I told him to check the car. He started staying late. Client emergencies. He'd come home at 11 and shower before he'd even hug me, every single night. The man hadn't showered before bed in 11 years. One night, his gym bag was on the kitchen island and it buzzed. Not his regular phone. His regular phone was in his hand. The bag buzzed again. He grabbed it like it was on fire and walked out to the garage to take the call. I stood there with a dish towel and counted. He was out there 19 minutes. When he came back, I asked who it was. Spam, he said. Warranty stuff. Spam doesn't make you whisper in a cold garage for 19 minutes. The next day, I called the bank, not the lawyer. Not yet. I just wanted to see. There was a second card on the firm account I never authorized. The charges went back 7 months. Restaurants, hotels, a furniture store. Someone had been setting up a whole second life on my dime. I wrote the number down. $61,000. I taped it to the inside of my planner so I'd see it every morning. That was only what I could see that night. By the time Joyce's accountant finished the books months later, the real number was more than 3 times bigger. That weekend, his mother called the house phone and asked me, sweet as pie, whether Joel and I had talked about the future. I said we talked about it all the time. She laughed in a way that told me she knew more than I did, so his family knew. Lovely. Monday, Heather posted again. A video this time, Joel's voice in the background. I'd know that voice anywhere. He was telling her she deserved better than where she came from. She giggled and turned the camera, and there was our beach house behind her. The one in the photos on our living room wall. He'd taken her to the beach house. He'd taken her everywhere. I didn't cry. I opened a spreadsheet. Tuesday he came home and complained that dinner was cold. I'd made his favorite. He pushed the plate 2 inches away and ordered something on his phone. The good phone. He left the gym bag by the door and I watched it like it owed me money. Wednesday he forgot our son's recital. Heather posted a story from a rooftop bar the same hour. Same skyline. Same man's hand reaching into frame to clink her glass. I recognized his wedding ring. He still wore it on a date with her. His mother came by that weekend with a casserole and a smile that didn't fit. She walked through my house touching my things. She picked up our wedding photo, looked at it, and set it face down on the shelf. Some marriages just run their course, she said to no one. I asked her what she meant. Oh, nothing, dear. She left the casserole and a lipstick ring on my good mug. That same night Joel told me he had a work trip the next month. I asked where. Charleston, he said. Heather had already posted the hotel. The lies got lazy after that. He'd say he was working late and his location sat parked at the Carlton. He'd say money was tight, and the same week a spa charge hit my account with Heather tagged in the photo. He started hiding his regular phone too, face down at dinner, flipping it like a card he didn't want me to see. One night, I read the banner before he caught it. Can't wait for the big night, it said. I didn't know yet what the big night was, I do now. He brought her into our world piece by piece. A coworker mentioned Joel's friend Heather at a barbecue, casual, like I should already know the name. I smiled and said of course. Then I stepped away and wrote it in my phone. Heather got bold enough to message me herself. A friend request with a little note. Hope we can all be adults about everything soon. I didn't accept it. I screenshotted it. His spending got reckless. Cologne I never smelled on him. A rental car while both our cars sat in the driveway. A florist twice in 1 month and not one stem ever reached my house. Every receipt synced to the cloud he forgot we shared. He forgot our anniversary that week. No card, no dinner. The next day a charge cleared for a necklace, ordered on our anniversary, shipped to an address that wasn't mine. I kept a folder now. Screenshots, receipts, dates, times. I labeled it something boring so it would never catch his eye. Every night after the kids slept, I added to it. He thought I was tired. I was building. The closer it got, the kinder he got. He brought me coffee in bed and asked about my day, the way he used to. A man being sweet to a wife he is about to humiliate is the coldest thing I have ever watched up close. One night I heard him in the bathroom, low, rehearsing. There's something I've wanted to do for a long time. He said it 3 times, trying the words on. I stood in the dark hallway and listened to my husband practice a proposal to another woman. Thursday I found the box. It was in the gym bag, wrapped in a gym sock, shoved into the side pocket. Black velvet. I didn't open it in the house. I took it to the car, sat in the garage where he liked to whisper and lifted the lid. A diamond. Round, huge, ugly with how much it cost. There was a receipt folded under the cushion. $24,000. Paid from the firm account. My firm. He was going to propose to her. While still married to me, with money I earned. I put the box back in the sock exactly how I found it. Then I sat in my own car in my own garage and did the math on a man I'd given my 20s to. That's when I called Joyce Yates. Joyce had handled 2 divorces for women at my gym and both of them walked away with everything. I told her what I had. The cloud. The second card. The video. The box. She was quiet for a second. Then she said one sentence I wrote on the back of my hand. Don't confront him. Let him do it in public and let me handle what's in the box. I asked her what she meant. You'll see, she said. When is your birthday? I told her 3 weeks out. I'd already booked the venue, the band, 200 guests, a big show. Joel had been weirdly supportive of the party. Now I knew why. He wanted the stage too. Perfect, Joyce said. He thinks he's getting a stage. We're going to give him one. Friday morning Joel kissed my forehead and told me he loved me. First time in months. He even did the dishes. He was being kind because he thought he was almost free. He had no idea I'd already met with Joyce twice. He didn't know about the cameras she told me to rent. He didn't know about the live stream, or the second locksmith, or the forensic accountant going through 7 months of the firm's books one charge at a time. He thought the party was for me. So did everybody else. A few days after I hired Joyce, Joel told me he'd invited a client to dinner. At our house. My house. I set the table for 3, he said 4. She's bringing someone. She walked in wearing my color, my heels, a perfume I'd worn on our honeymoon. Heather Cromwell in my dining room, shaking my hand like we'd never met. I've heard so much about you, she said. I bet she had. She sat in my chair at the head of the table before I could. Joel didn't correct her. He pulled out the wine I'd been saving for our anniversary and poured her the first glass. She complimented the house. "It's a lot of space for 2 people," she said, and looked at Joel when she said it. He smiled into his plate. Halfway through dinner, she asked for the bathroom and was gone 11 minutes. When she came back, my jewelry box upstairs was open. I checked after they left. My grandmother's ring sat turned the wrong way in its slot. She'd been in my things. I didn't say a word. I refilled the water glasses. At the door, she hugged me. "We should do this again," she whispered. "Soon." Joel walked her to her car and stood in the driveway 20 minutes. I watched from the dark kitchen. He kissed her in front of my house. Then he came inside and asked if there was any pie. The next morning, the firm's accountant called. Joel had tried to move $90,000 into a new account that wasn't ours, a holding account, in his name only. The transfer bounced because the second signer was me, and I hadn't signed. "He's pulling money out before something," she said. "You should know." I knew exactly before what. I called Joyce. She told me not to block the account. "Let him try again," she said. "Every attempt is evidence. Let him build our case for us." So I let him think I was asleep at the wheel. I even left the bank statements on the counter where he'd see them and feel safe. He tried again that Friday. 80,000 this time, same account, same result. He came home and slammed cabinet doors looking for someone to blame. "The bank keeps flagging my transfers." "Did you call them?" "Why would I call the bank?" I asked. "Forget it." He poured a drink and took it to the garage to whisper into the phone in his bag. That afternoon, my daughter came home from school and asked a question that stopped me cold. "Who's Heather?" I crouched down. "Where did you hear that name?" "Daddy's phone, the one in his bag. It rang in the car. He said her name and then he said, 'Don't tell Mommy.' He'd used our kids as cover. I told her she did right telling me. Then I went to the garage and added a line to the spreadsheet. My office manager pulled me aside at the firm that week. She looked sick. "Joel told the team he's taking over operations next quarter. He said not to mention it to you yet." He was telling my employees he'd own my company before he'd even left me. I asked her to write down the date and time he said it. She did. It went in the folder. Heather showed up at my gym 2 days later. My gym. She took the locker next to mine and used my shampoo off the shelf like she knew it was mine. "Oh, is this yours?" she said, holding the bottle. "Joel says you two are basically done anyway." I took the bottle out of her hand. "We're not done," I said. "We haven't even started." She smirked and walked off to my favorite treadmill. That night she posted from a bridal shop. A mirror, a white dress, her face cut out of frame. "Saying yes soon," the caption read. She tagged the city. "Springdale, our city." I saved the post. Then I saved the shop's name for Joyce. 2 days later, a charge hit the firm account from that same boutique. $3,200, a deposit, for a dress. He was buying her a wedding dress with my company's money while we were still married. I forwarded the receipt to Joyce. She sent it to the forensic accountant, who added it to a folder that was now 90 pages long. Joel started treating the house like a hotel he was checking out of. He stopped taking out the trash. Left crusted dishes in the sink for me to find. Took the good charger from the kitchen and never brought it back, so my phone died the one morning I needed it. His friends came over to watch the game and left bottles on my grandmother's table without a coaster. When I asked him to clean up, he said, "It's not a big deal. You're always so uptight." Uptight, while he planned a wedding in my house. At dinner that night, Joel told me he'd been thinking about the future. His mother had used the same words on the phone. They'd rehearsed it. "What about it?" I asked. "People grow apart," he said. "No one's fault." I asked if there was someone else. He looked me dead in the eye. "No, there's no one. I'd never do that to you." He'd never do that to me, while her deposit sat on my bank statement. I smiled and said I was glad. Then I went upstairs and texted Joyce one word. "Tonight." She wrote back, "Let him hang himself in public. 3 weeks." His mother called the next morning to ask if I'd thought about letting Joel keep the business. Out loud, just like that. "It's my business," I said. "He built it too, dear." He'd never built anything. He'd spent. I hung up on her for the first time in 11 years. It felt like the first deep breath I'd taken in months. She didn't give up. She drove over that afternoon with a folder of her own and slid it across my counter with 2 fingers. Just something to make things easier, for when the time comes. A quitclaim signing the house over. My house with my name on the deed. She'd had it drawn up already. I told her I'd look it over. I walked her out, photographed every page, and sent it to Joyce. Joyce wrote back, "They're getting greedy. Greedy people make mistakes on camera." My son asked me that weekend why Daddy was packing a suitcase. Joel had a bag by the door again. "Work trip," he called from the other room. "You said that last week," my son said. Joel told him to go play. Then he zipped the bag and told me not to wait up. I checked the closet after he left. His good suit was gone. The one he wore to weddings. He was wearing his wedding suit to go see her. Flowers came to the house that Thursday. 2 dozen roses addressed to Heather delivered to my address by mistake. The card read, "To my future wife. Soon." I photographed it and put the roses in the trash, stems up where he'd see them. He saw them. He didn't say a word. He pushed them deeper into the bin and went to shower. That weekend, he canceled our anniversary dinner. 11 years. A client needed him, he said. Heather posted a candlelit table for 2 an hour later. Same restaurant I'd booked. He'd given my reservation to her. I drove past it. I'll admit that. I sat in the lot and watched through the window. His hand was on hers across my table, under my reservation on my anniversary. I didn't go in. I took a photo through the glass and sent it to Joyce. "Save it," she said. "Don't spend it yet." Heather found my own page 2 days later and commented on a photo of my kids. "Beautiful family," she wrote. "Won't last." She deleted it an hour later. I'd already screenshotted it. I called Joel at work and asked him to keep her away from posts about my children. He laughed. "You're being paranoid. Heather's just a client. You need help, Rosemary." A client, with a wedding dress on my account and roses addressed to my house. He started locking the home office, too, the room I paid for. I came home one afternoon and the door wouldn't open. He said he was keeping work files secure. So I had a locksmith open it the next morning while he was out. Joyce told me it was my house, my office, my right, and I asked her twice if that was really okay before I did it. The locksmith had it open in 4 minutes. Inside the desk was a folder of printed emails between Joel and a lawyer about separating the business cleanly. A second folder held Heather's ring options. He'd ranked them. I photographed every page, put it all back exactly, and had the door relocked. Joel never knew it had ever been open. That night, he asked me to iron his good suit for a work event. I ironed it, pressed every crease perfect, hung it where he'd find it, and smiled when he thanked me. Joel noticed the party planning ramping up and got nervous about the cameras. He walked into the dining room while the tech tested a feed. "What's all this?" "Lighting for the party," I said. "You want it to look good for your important clients, don't you?" His face changed. "What clients?" "The ones you keep inviting to my birthday." "I assumed you had a guest list." He went quiet, then careful and slow. "There might be a few people I want there for a work thing." "A work thing at my birthday." I told him the more the merrier and watched his shoulders relax. That night I opened the RSVP list the planner emailed. 204 names. I scrolled to the C's. Cromwell, Heather, +1. She'd RSVP'd to my birthday party. He'd put her on the list himself. I read her name 3 times in the dark kitchen. Then I sent Joyce a screenshot. She called me back in 10 seconds. "He's bringing her." It wasn't a question. "To my party," I said, "in front of everyone we know." "Good," Joyce said. "Then everyone we know is about to see exactly who he is. Don't change a thing. Let him plan his big moment. We'll plan ours." I hung up and went upstairs. Joel was already in bed. He rolled over and asked where I'd been. "Confirming the final head count," I said. "How many?" 204, I said, "and one very special guest." He smiled in the dark. "It's going to be a night to remember." For once, we agreed on something. The last 3 weeks before the party, Joel stopped pretending at home. He took a call from Heather at our kitchen table during dinner, right in front of the kids. "Hey, you," he said into the phone, soft, the way he used to say it to me. He carried his plate to the garage and ate out there with her on speaker. My daughter looked at me. "Is Daddy okay?" "Daddy's busy," I said, and cut her chicken. He came back in and left his dirty plate in the sink. Of course he did. The next morning he asked me to pick up his dry cleaning, his good shirts for work events. I picked them up. I paid for them. Then I photographed the receipt and added it to the pile, because by then I documented everything, even his laundry. He thanked me like I was the help. The next morning a charge hit the firm account. A venue deposit. $6,000. I called the number on the statement, pretending to confirm. It was a wedding venue. 40 minutes from Springdale, booked under Greer, for a Saturday in the fall. He'd put a deposit on his wedding to her while planning to crash mine. I sent it to Joyce. She added it to the folder and told me the accountant had now traced $214,000 moved or spent on Heather over 14 months. I wrote the number on the back of my hand. $214,000. My money. My work. That weekend, his mother came to help with the party. She rearranged my living room furniture without asking, moved my grandmother's chair into the garage, hung a photo of Joel's family over the spot where our wedding picture used to be. "Just freshening things up, dear," she said. She also brought Heather's measurements on a sticky note and left it on my fridge by accident. Dress size, shoe size, a little heart drawn next to the name. I peeled it off and photographed it. Then I stuck it back exactly where she'd left it. Joel got careless with the phone in the gym bag. It buzzed on the counter while he showered and the screen lit up. A text from Heather. 3 weeks until I'm the new Mrs. Greer. Then another. Does she suspect anything? Then his reply, sent before he was even out of the bathroom. No, she's clueless. Just smile and play nice till the party. Clueless? I screenshotted all three and put the phone back face down. He came down in his towel and asked what was for breakfast. I made him eggs. I even warmed his coffee. Play nice till the party, he'd said, so we both played nice. Heather escalated on her own. She started tagging our town's gossip page in her posts. Big upgrade coming soon, one said, over a photo of a ring box. People I knew started messaging me. Is everything okay with you and Joel? I told them everything was wonderful. Joyce said let them wonder. Let them all be in that room not knowing. 3 days out, Joel asked me for the guest list to double-check seating for his clients. I gave it to him. He moved Heather to a table right beside the stage. He moved his mother next to her. He moved me to the far end, away from the microphone. He was staging it. He wanted me seated and silent while he stood up and did it, so I let him build his stage. Every chair he moved, I moved one camera to match. Joyce and I walked the whole room 2 nights before, marking sightlines. 2 cameras on the podium, one on Heather's table, one on the doors. The live stream tested clean from my phone, from Joyce's laptop, from the parking lot. When he stands up, Joyce said, you do nothing. You let him reach for the box. The box does the talking. I asked her one more time if we had enough. She opened the folder, the cloud receipts, the second card, the venue deposit, the $214,000, the she's clueless text, the quitclaim his mother tried to make me sign, the wedding dress on my account. We have a mountain, Joyce said. Tomorrow night he hands us the summit. The day of the party, Joel was cheerful for the first time in months. He whistled in the shower. That was the 90 seconds I'd waited weeks for. His gym bag sat by the bedroom door, the box still in the side pocket, still wrapped in the sock. I slid it out and lifted the lid. I worked the diamond loose from the cushion and dropped it into my robe. In its place, I pressed the folded subpoena and the little printed QR square, flat enough that the lid still clicked shut. Box back in the sock back in the bag, exactly how it sat. It took less time than his shower. He came out toweling his hair and told me I looked nice. He even kissed my cheek at the door and said, "Today's going to change everything." "I know it is," I said. I got to the venue early to check the flowers. Really, I checked the cameras, every feed live, every angle clean. The diamond I'd lifted from his box that morning sat in my clutch, flat against the lining. The box in Joel's jacket now held what I'd left in its place. Guests started arriving at 7. 200 people I'd known for years. My sister-in-law, my old college roommate, couples we'd had to dinner 100 times. They hugged me and wished me happy birthday and had no idea what they'd come to see. Joel worked the room like a politician, shaking hands, laughing too loud, checking the door every few minutes. At 7:40, the door opened and Heather walked in white, a floor-length white gown, to my birthday. She walked in like a bride at her own reception. The room did a small double take. A few forks paused. Someone near me whispered, "Who wears white to a birthday?" Joel crossed the whole room to greet her, in front of everyone. He took her hand and walked her to the table by the stage. The seat he'd saved. He pulled out her chair. His mother stood and hugged her. Loud enough for the next table to hear, she said, "You look perfect, sweetheart." Joel never once crossed the room to me, not to wish me happy birthday, not to hand me a drink. He orbited Heather's table all night, refilling her glass, laughing at everything she said. When the photographer asked for a shot of the birthday girl and her husband, Joel put his arm around me for 4 seconds, said cheese, and went straight back to her before the flash cooled. Heather didn't sit quietly either. She walked the room like she was the host. She stopped at my sister-in-law's table and put her hand out. "I'm Heather, I'm with Joel." She let it hang there. She found the bar and ordered the good champagne on the Greer tab. My tab. She toasted a circle of my friends, with my money in her glass. A waiter brought out the appetizers I'd chosen. Heather waved hers off. "We won't be here long enough for the full menu," she told him, and winked toward Joel. My old roommate found me by the cake and took my elbow. "Rosemary, that woman is telling people she's engaged to your husband. Tonight, what is going on?" "Watch," I said. "You'll understand in a minute." One of Joel's college friends pulled him aside near the bar. Joel leaned in and told him something, grinning, proud of it. The man's face went tight. Whatever Joel had just bragged about, the proposal, the woman in white, doing it here tonight, landed wrong. The friend looked at me by the cake, then back at Joel, set down his drink, and left early. He didn't want to be in the room when it happened. My daughter tugged my sleeve. "Mommy, why is that lady wearing a wedding dress?" 200 people, and my 8-year-old asked the only honest question in the room. "Some people just like attention," I told her. I walked her back to her aunt's table and turned her chair away from the stage for what was coming. Joel kept checking his jacket pocket. Every few minutes his hand drifted to it, made sure the box was still there. He didn't know I'd counted on that hand. His mother clinked a spoon against her glass too early, trying to start the moment, and Joel waved her down. "Not yet, Mom," he hissed. "Let me do it right." Do it right at my party. Heather came over to the cake. To me, she looked at the candles and smiled. 30, big year for you. She reached out and straightened the collar of my dress like I was a child. "I'll take good care of them," she added, nodding toward my kids. I lifted her hand off my collar. "They have a mother," I said. "For now," she said, and floated back to her seat by the stage. At her table, she leaned into my mother-in-law just loud enough. "He's doing it tonight, can you believe it? In front of everybody." My mother-in-law squeezed her hand. 2 of my friends heard it and turned to stare at me by the cake. Joyce was 3 tables back in a navy dress, a glass of water in front of her she never touched. When my eyes found hers, she gave me one small nod. The cameras were rolling. The stream was live. Everything was set. I stood by the cake with 200 people watching my husband seat another woman in white at my party. I didn't scream. I picked up my glass and tapped it for a toast. My toast. My birthday. "Thank you all for coming," I said. "It means everything to have everyone I love in one room tonight." I raised my glass to the woman in white and smiled right at her. She smiled back, sure she'd already won. Then Joel stood up. He tapped his own glass and the room went quiet. "Actually," he said, "before we go on, I have something to say. A special announcement." He reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out the ring box, the black velvet box, the one from the gym bag. The one I'd found weeks ago and opened in my own garage. He held it up over his head so the whole room could see, and he turned, not to me, but to Heather. "Tonight," he said, "in front of everyone who matters to me, I want to start the rest of my life." 200 people stopped breathing. My sister-in-law's hand flew to her mouth. Somewhere a chair scraped. Heather rose from her seat in her white gown, both hands pressed to her chest, already crying happy tears. Joel got down on one knee. In the middle of my birthday, on my night, with my money in his pocket and my friends as his audience, he held the box out toward her with both hands and started to lift the lid. "Heather," he said, "will you?" I set down my glass. What he didn't know was that the box in his hand hadn't held a diamond since that morning, and the woman in white was about to find out what was really inside. The lid came up. The room leaned in. There was no diamond. Joel stared into the box. His smile froze halfway up his face. Inside, where a ring should have been, sat a small printed square of black and white and a paper folded into a tight little rectangle. "What is this?" he said. Not a question. He looked at Heather. He looked at the box. He looked at me. I crossed the room to the microphone. Slow, calm, I didn't hurry. 200 people watched me take the stage I'd paid for. "Go ahead, Joel," I said into the mic. My voice filled the room. "Open it the rest of the way. Show everyone what you brought." His hands were shaking now. He unfolded the paper. His eyes moved across the top line. The color left his face. "Read it out loud," I said. "You wanted everyone here, so tell them." He didn't read it. He couldn't, so I did. It's a petition for divorce, I said. Filed this morning, and a subpoena. His name's right there at the top. The little square is a QR code. Scan it, and you can read all 800 pages yourself. The screen behind the stage lit up. I'd had the AV team rig it. The same big screen that was supposed to show my birthday slideshow now showed a live feed and a folder. My face on the cameras, Joel on one knee, and then the documents scrolling. Phones came up all over the room. People scanned the code on the screen. You could hear it happen, 200 phones buzzing as the file opened. Page 1, I said. Hotel receipts. The Carlton, room 412, paid from our business account. A gasp moved through the tables like wind. Page 14. A second credit card on my company, opened 7 months ago. I never signed for it. Joel got to his feet. Rosemary. Page 30, I went on. A wedding venue deposit. $6,000 for your wedding to her, paid while you were still married to me. Heather was still standing in her white gown, both hands at her chest, but the happy tears had stopped. She looked at the screen. She looked at Joel. What is she talking about? She said. What is this? Keep scrolling, I told the room. Page 60, a wedding dress. $3,200, also my account. Heather, I believe that's the one you posted from the mirror. Heather's hand dropped from her chest. Page 70, I kept going. Rent, her apartment. $1,800 a month, 12 months, out of my company's checking. You've been paying her rent longer than you've been forgetting our anniversary. Someone at my sister-in-law's table laughed, sharp and stunned. Heather's face went red under the lights. Page 74, her car, the one she posted from. I co-signed a lease I never saw. The repossession order is page 75. Joel reached for the mic. I stepped back out of his reach and kept talking. Page 80, I said. A text, 3 weeks ago, I'll read it. 3 weeks until I'm the new Mrs. Greer. Does she suspect anything? And his answer. No, she's clueless. Just smile and play nice till the party. The room turned. 200 faces swung from the screen to Joel. Someone near the back said, "Oh my God," loud enough for everyone. I played nice, I said, just like you asked. Joel's mother stood up. This is a private family matter, she announced to the room. Everyone should leave. Sit down, I said, not loud, just flat. Page 90. That's the quitclaim you brought to my kitchen. You tried to get me to sign my own house away. Your handwriting's on it. She sat down. Joel found his voice and went for the only play he had left. He turned to the room and spread his hands. This is insane, he said. She's lying. She's having a breakdown. None of this is real. She doctored all of it. I nodded at the AV booth. The screen changed. The slideshow I'd really made started to play. Not birthday photos. A video. Joel at our beach house, his arm around Heather, his voice clear on the audio. You deserve better than where you came from. Heather giggling, the beach house in the background, the one from our living room wall. The room watched my husband on the big screen on a date with the woman in white in the house I owned. Nobody moved. Even the band had stopped pretending to tune. Still doctored, I said. Joel's mouth opened and closed. Heather rounded on him. You told me she already knew, she hissed. You told me she agreed to all of this. Babe. Don't babe me. She held up her phone. She'd scanned the code too. Why is my name in here? Why am I in a lawsuit? That's when Joyce stood up. She walked to the stage in her navy dress, calm as Sunday, and set a manila envelope on the podium in front of Joel. Joel Greer, she said, you've been served. Petition for divorce and a claim for the marital assets you moved without consent. She turned to Heather and handed her a second envelope. And you're named in a civil suit, alienation of affection. There's a copy in your hand already if you scan the code. Heather stared at the envelope like it might bite her. I'm being sued at a birthday party. You came to a birthday party in a wedding dress, Joyce said. You made it easy to find you. Heather threw the envelope on the floor. It landed by the cake. Joel grabbed the mic stand. Everybody stop recording, he shouted. Phones down, now. Nobody put a phone down. If anything, more came up. You're streaming this, he said to me, finally understanding. This is live. 2 cameras on you, I said. 1 on the door, and about 400 people watching from home who couldn't fit in the room. He looked up at the screen and saw the little number in the corner, the live viewer count. Climbing, it passed 1,000 while he watched. Then 2,000. His own friends were sharing the link. He lunged for the laptop at the booth. The AV tech stepped in front of it. "Sir, I can't let you touch the equipment," he said. "It's rented under Mrs. Greer's name." Everything in that room was under my name. That was the whole point. Joel pulled out his own phone and started dialing. "I'm calling the bank. I'm freezing the accounts right now." "Try," I said. "I moved the personal accounts Monday. Your name came off them at 9 in the morning. You're calling a bank that doesn't answer to you anymore." He hung up before it rang. He tried a second number. Whoever it was didn't pick up. He tried a third. Same. Word travels fast at a party with a live stream. Joel turned back to the crowd, sweating now, trying to find one friendly face. "She set me up," he said. "She tricked me into proposing to your mistress at my birthday with my money," I said. "I didn't write that text. I didn't book that venue. I didn't buy that dress. You did all of it. I just made sure everyone could see." Heather was already moving toward the door, white gown gathered in both fists. His mother went after her, calling her name. Heather didn't stop. She shoved through the front doors and was gone, the envelope left behind on my floor by my cake. His mother grabbed my arm by the cake. "How dare you humiliate my son like this?" "I didn't put him on one knee," I said. "He did that himself. You helped him." I pulled my arm free. "Page 90 has your name on it too. Read it before you call a lawyer." She let go. My old roommate stepped between us and faced her. "You brought that woman's measurements to Rosemary's fridge," she said. "I saw it." We all saw it tonight. Joel's mother backed toward the door. Heather came back once fast for the clutch she'd left at the table. She snatched it and turned on Joel on her way out. "You said she was nothing," she spat. "You said it was handled." She didn't wait for an answer. The doors swung shut behind the white dress for the last time. Joel started after her. Halfway across the room he stopped because he realized there was nothing out there for him either. He came back to me instead. Got close to the mic so only I could hear and dropped his voice low. "You think this is going to work?" he said. "Everything's in both our names. You'll never get the house. You'll never keep the business. I'll bury you in court." I leaned into the microphone so the whole room heard my answer. "Joel," I said, "the money you spent on her came out of my personal accounts. Every dollar. So the ring you almost gave her, the dress, the hotel rooms, legally, those were bought with my money. Which makes them mine." I looked right at the doors Heather had run through. "Tell her to keep the dress as evidence," I said. "She'll be seeing it again in court." The room broke, 200 people all talking at once, phones everywhere. Somebody actually started clapping and then a whole table joined in. Not everyone clapped. A few of Joel's friends slipped out the side, suddenly very interested in their phones. The ones who'd liked Heather's posts. The ones who'd known. They didn't want to be on the stream either. My office manager stood up at her table. "I want everyone to know he told the staff he was taking the company in the fall," she said. "He told us not to tell her. We told her anyway." Two of my employees raised their glasses to me from the back of the room. The bandleader leaned into his own mic. "Should we play something?" Half the room laughed. Joel didn't. My sister-in-law walked my kids over to me, away from the stage, and put her arm around all three of us. Joel watched that too. The family he'd traded was standing in a circle that no longer had a space for him. Joel stood alone in the middle of my birthday party, holding an empty velvet box, while the screen behind him played his own voice on a loop. And the part he hadn't figured out yet, the part that would cost him the house, the business, and the last shred of his name, was already moving through a courthouse 40 minutes away, with his signature on every page. I left my own party first. I took my kids, my sister-in-law, and my purse with the empty diamond receipt inside it. Joel followed me to the parking lot. "Rosemary, wait, we can fix this." "There's nothing to fix," I said. I buckled my daughter into the car. He grabbed the door. "You just blew up my whole life in front of everyone." "You did that on one knee," I said. "I just turned the lights on." I pulled the door shut and drove home with both kids asleep before we hit the highway. By morning, the video was everywhere. Someone had clipped the moment the box opened and posted it. By 6 a.m., it had 40,000 views. By noon, 400,000. The caption read, "He proposed to his mistress at his wife's birthday. Watch what was in the box." Strangers were stitching it, pausing on Joel's face. By the second day, a local morning show ran a blurred clip. "Springdale birthday goes viral," the chyron read. A woman stopped me at the grocery store, gripped my cart, and said, "You're her, the birthday." "Good for you, honey." Then she walked off with her eggs. Joel called 11 times before 9. I let Joyce's office answer. He left a voicemail that started as begging and ended as a threat. "You'll regret this. I'll take the house. I'll take the firm. I built that company too." Joyce played it back, smiled, and saved it. "Threatening voicemail," she said. "Page 91. His mother showed up at my door at 10. I didn't open it. She shouted through the wood that I was a vindictive woman and her son would destroy me in court. I recorded it through the door the way Joyce taught me, asked her once to leave, and she left. At 11, Heather's lawyer called Joyce. He wanted the alienation suit dropped. Joyce reminded him his client walked into a documented event in a wedding dress on camera and posted about it for 14 months. The lawyer went quiet. Then he asked about a settlement. Joel tried the bank that afternoon. The personal accounts had been in my name only since Monday. The firm account froze the second he tried to move money, because I'd flagged his card the night before. He couldn't pull a dollar. He drove to the firm to take control of operations. My office manager met him at the door with a printed letter. He was not an owner. He was not an employee. His name was on nothing. Security walked him back to his car while 3 coworkers filmed. That clip went viral too. My clients didn't run. 2 of them sent new contracts that week. One wrote, "Anyone that organized under that much pressure is exactly who I want on my account." The business, I supposedly couldn't keep, had its best month on record. Joel hired a lawyer that night. Expensive. The lawyer requested the full file from Joyce as a courtesy. Joyce sent all 800 pages. He called back the next morning and, according to Joyce, said one sentence, "I can't ethically promise this man anything." He dropped Joel by the end of the week. Heather tried to save herself online. She posted a long, teary video. I was lied to. He told me they were already separated. I'm a victim too. For about an hour, a few people believed her. Then someone pulled up her own text from the party. 3 weeks until I'm the new Mrs. Greer. Does she suspect anything? A victim doesn't ask if the wife suspects. The comments turned on her in real time. She deleted the video. Then the account. The internet keeps the receipts. So Heather lost her job that week. She'd posted from her office enough that her employer recognized the desk in the clip. They didn't want the attention. She went from a co-signed car to no car and no paycheck in 9 days. The repossession came next. The leasing company sent a truck for the car she'd filmed turning the keys in. It had been co-signed on a lease I never authorized, which made it void, which made the car theirs to take. They took it from in front of her apartment. Somebody filmed that too. Joyce sent a formal demand for the dress. The $3,200 gown, bought on my account, was now disputed property. Heather handed it back in a garment bag in a parking lot to a process server. She'd worn it to my party. She gave it back in a parking lot. Joel showed up at the house Saturday. His key didn't work. I'd changed the locks the morning after the gala, and Joyce had filed for exclusive use of the home that same day, since every cent of the down payment and the mortgage had come from my accounts. He pounded on the door. "This is my house too." "The judge says otherwise until the hearing," I called through it. "There's a copy of the order taped to the garage, with your name on it." He read it. He kicked the garbage can over and left. Monday, his work found out. A client recognized him in the video and forwarded it to his regional manager. By Tuesday, Joel was on leave. By Friday, the leave was permanent. He moved in with his mother. The same woman who'd hung her family photo over our wedding picture now had her grown son on her couch with no job and a lawsuit. She stopped calling me after that. There was nothing left to demand. He tried to see the kids that weekend, unannounced, smelling like he'd slept in the car. I told him through the storm door that visits would go through the court, supervised like Joyce arranged. He called me cold. I told him to reread the part of the file where he taught our daughter to lie for him. My son asked me that night if it was his fault Daddy left. I sat on the edge of his bed. "None of this is yours to carry. You told the truth when it counted. That's the bravest thing anybody did." He nodded and rolled over, and I sat with him until he slept. The DMs brought me more than I asked for. A woman I'd never met sent a photo. "Joel, 8 months back at a resort with someone who wasn't Heather and wasn't me. Thought you should know," she wrote. "He did the same to my sister." There'd been others. I sent it to Joyce. She added it to the file without a word. Heather and Joel turned on each other within 2 weeks. She gave a statement blaming him for everything, hoping to escape the suit. He told anyone who'd listened that she'd pursued him, that he was the one manipulated. They deserved each other, and now they had each other in dueling depositions. The forensic accountant finished her final number. 14 months. $214,000 of my money spent making another woman comfortable. Every dollar traceable to his hand and my account. Joyce filed for all of it back, plus the marital share of everything he'd tried to move. Joel sat for a deposition in March. Joyce let him talk. He said he'd never hidden anything, and she slid the second credit card statement across the table. He said the money was joint, and she laid out the account opened in my name only. He said Heather was just a friend and played the beach house audio until his own lawyer asked for a break. Every lie he told, the folder answered. He stopped talking an hour in. He came out of that conference room gray. In the hallway, he asked me, almost a whisper, "Why are you doing this to me?" I told him I wasn't doing anything to him. I just stopped covering for him. He didn't have an answer for that. It was the most honest exchange we'd had in a year. Heather emailed me an apology that read like a lawyer wrote it. "I never meant to hurt you. I was a victim of his lies, too." Attached was a request to settle her suit for nothing. I forwarded it to Joyce, who sent back the dress receipt and the parking lot handoff with 2 words. Counteroffer, no. His mother got pulled into a deposition of her own. Under oath, she admitted she'd known about Heather for almost a year. She admitted she'd brought the quitclaim to my kitchen. She admitted the measurements on my fridge were her handwriting. Then she said she'd only wanted Joel to be happy, and even his lawyer didn't write that down. The story kept traveling. A national page picked up the clip. The subpoena in the ring box. 11 million views. A morning show asked me to come on. I said no. I had a business to run and 2 kids to drive to school. The attention had a cost. A boy at school told my son his dad was the meme guy. I sat both kids down and told them the truth in small words. Their father did something wrong. I protected our family. We don't keep secrets in this house. My daughter asked if the lady in the white dress was gone for good. I told her yes. Joel begged for a quiet settlement twice. He offered to walk away if I'd take the video down. I told him the video wasn't mine to take down. 11 million people had it. He'd handed it to them himself on one knee. That weekend, I carried my grandmother's chair back in from the garage. I took down his mother's family photo and put my wedding picture in a drawer, face down, where it belonged now. The house started to feel like mine again because it always had been. The friends who'd liked Heather's posts tried to circle back. One sent a long apology. I read it and didn't answer. Another sent flowers. I gave them to the front desk at my firm. I didn't have room anymore for people who'd watched and said nothing. The court date was set for the spring. Joel sent one last message before his lawyer told him to stop. "I'll fight you on the business. You'll never keep the firm. We started it together." I screenshotted it, then I forwarded it to Joyce with 3 words. "He started nothing." She wrote back, "Save it for the judge. We'll win this in 1 afternoon." And we did, but not the way Joel thought. Because there was one document he'd signed years ago and forgotten, sitting in a drawer in my office, that made the whole fight over before it began. Joel walked into the courthouse that spring like he'd already won. New suit, new lawyer, his third. He sat across the aisle and leaned over to me before the judge came in. "Last chance," he whispered. "Give me half the firm and I'll drop the appeal on the house. Be smart, Rosemary." "You don't have an appeal," I said. "You have a deposition where you lied 9 times. His lawyer pulled him back into his seat. The judge came in. The hearing started with Joel's side. His lawyer stood and made the claim I knew was coming. "Your Honor, my client co-founded the design firm. He's entitled to half its value, roughly $900,000. Joel sat up straighter. He thought this was the part where he got paid. Joyce stood. She didn't argue. She just walked a single document to the clerk and handed copies across the aisle. "Your Honor, the operating agreement for the firm. Signed and notarized 8 years ago." Joel's lawyer flipped to the signature page. His face changed. "8 years ago," Joyce said, "my client's husband asked to have his name removed from the company. He had a creditor problem of his own at the time. A car loan in default, a collections case. He didn't want the business exposed to it, so he signed his entire interest over to my client. 100%, his signature, his notary, his idea." The room was quiet. Joel leaned over to his lawyer. "What is she talking about?" His lawyer didn't answer him. He was still reading. "He's owned 0% of that firm for 8 years, Joyce said. By his own hand, you can't take half of nothing." Joel stood up. I never signed away the company. That was just to protect us. To protect you, Joyce said. From your own creditors, it worked. The business was never touched. It also was never yours. The judge asked Joel to sit down. He didn't at first. He stared at the signature page like the letters might rearrange. Is that your signature, Mr. Greer? The judge asked. Joel's lawyer put a hand on his arm. Joel shook it off. Yes, but... Is it notarized? Yes, but I didn't read. You signed a notarized assignment of your entire interest, and you didn't read it, the judge said. That's not the court's problem, Mr. Greer. He sat down then. Hard. Joyce kept going, calm as ever. She read the financials into the record. The second credit card, the account in my name. $214,000 moved or spent on Heather Cromwell over 14 months, every charge traced to Joel's hand. He used marital funds, which were sourced entirely from my client's separate accounts, to fund a relationship and a planned second wedding, she said. We're asking for full repayment. Joel's lawyer tried. Some of those expenses were ordinary. A wedding venue deposit, Joyce said. A wedding dress for the girlfriend? A diamond engagement ring? Your Honor, he bought a ring to propose to his mistress at his wife's birthday. With his wife's money. We have it on video. The whole internet has it on video. The judge had seen the video. Everyone had seen the video. The ring, the dress, the jewelry, all purchased with my client's separate funds, Joyce said. They're her property. We're asking the court to confirm it. Confirmed, the judge said, writing. Joel found his voice. She humiliated me in front of 200 people. She streamed it. That's harassment. You proposed to another woman at her birthday party, the judge said, not even looking up. On one knee, in front of your guests. Nobody made you do that, Mr. Greer. She set me up. She filed before you opened the box. Your conduct was your own. Joel turned to me across the aisle. You couldn't just leave quietly, he hissed. You had to make a show of it. You made the show, I said. I just sold tickets. His lawyer asked for a recess. The judge denied it. The house came next. Joyce laid out the down payment, the mortgage, every cent from my accounts, plus the quitclaim his mother had tried to make me sign. They attempted to pressure my client into deeding away her own home, she said. We have the document and a recording. The house is awarded to the wife, the judge said, outright. Joel's mother was in the gallery. She made a small sound. The judge looked at her, then at the quitclaim in the file and said, I'd be careful, ma'am. There's a notarized petition with your name in it, too. She went quiet. Then came Heather. Her own lawyer had already tried to settle the alienation suit twice. In court, he argued she'd been deceived. Joyce played 90 seconds of the beach house audio and read Heather's own text aloud. Does she suspect anything? She'd posted about the engagement for 14 months. She'd come to my party in a wedding dress. She wasn't a bystander, Joyce said. She helped plan a public proposal funded by stolen marital money. The judge entered a default-level judgment against Heather for her share. She'd lost her job, her car, and now owed a number she'd never pay. She wasn't even in the room to hear it. She'd stopped showing up. Joel and Heather had blamed each other so hard in their depositions that each one's statement became evidence against the other. He swore she chased him. She swore he lied to her. The court believed both of them. The judge put Joel on the stand about the money. Short questions, no room to spin. Did you open a credit card on your wife's company without her signature? I was going to tell her. Did you open it without her signature? Yes. Did you pay another woman's rent from that account? It's complicated. $1,800 a month, 12 months. Yes or no? Yes. Did you put a $6,000 deposit on a wedding venue while married to the woman across the aisle? He didn't answer. The judge wrote something down. Silence is an answer too. My office manager testified next. She told the court Joel had announced to the staff he was taking over the firm in the fall, weeks before the party, and told them to keep it from me. He talked about it like it was already his, she said. It never was. 2 of my employees had come on their day off to sit in the gallery. When the judge confirmed the firm was mine, one gave me a small thumbs up. Joel tried to argue he'd built the brand, that clients came because of him. Joyce produced letters from 3 of my biggest clients. Each said the same thing in different words. They worked with me, they'd never worked with him. One ended, we didn't know he was involved at all. Joel had spent years telling people he ran my company. My clients had never met him, then his lawyer made a play for custody. Full weekends, holidays, the works. Joyce stood and played the recording from the car, Joel's own voice. "Don't tell Mommy." She said our daughter's words beside it, the 8-year-old he'd taught to keep his secret. "He used the children as cover for the affair," Joyce said, in their own words. The judge ordered supervised visitation. Joel slammed his palm on the table. The bailiff stepped forward. He pulled the hand back. "You're turning my kids against me," he said to me. "You did that in the car," I said. "I just stopped lying to them for you." He asked the judge for spousal support after that. From me, Joyce almost laughed. He earned a salary the whole marriage and spent $200,000 of her money on another woman. He's not entitled to her income too. The judge agreed before she finished. Joel slumped lower with every ruling like the chair was swallowing him. His third lawyer asked to approach the bench. Whatever was said, he came back and packed his briefcase. By morning, Joel had no lawyer at all. He represented himself for the last 20 minutes. It went exactly how you'd expect. At one point, he objected to his own signature. The judge overruled him and kept reading. Joel leaned across the aisle one more time, voice low so the judge wouldn't hear. "You're enjoying this." "No," I said. "I stopped enjoying anything the night I found the box. I'm just finishing it." When it was done, the judge read the final orders. The business, 100% mine, confirmed by Joel's own signature. The house, mine. The $214,000 repaid from his share of everything else. The ring, the dress, the jewelry, mine. Supervised visitation with the kids by his own conduct. Joel walked in expecting $900,000. He walked out owing me. In the hallway, it finally broke him. "You planned this for years," he said, loud now, people turning. "The agreement, the cameras, all of it." "I didn't plan the agreement," I said. "You signed that one yourself to dodge a car loan. I just kept it." "You'll regret this. You think you won. You've got nothing without me." I looked at him. No job, no business, no house. A girlfriend who'd handed back a wedding dress in a parking lot. A mother on the wrong end of a sworn statement. "Joel," I said, "look around. I'm the only one in this hallway who has anything." A bailiff asked him to lower his voice. He didn't. He told the empty corridor that none of it was fair, that I'd ruined him, that he'd been a good husband. A court officer walked him toward the doors. He stopped once and looked back at me, the way he used to look at me before all of it. "Was any of it real?" he asked. "It was," I said, "until you put a phone in a gym bag." The doors closed behind him. Joyce gathered the file, 800 pages now, and snapped her briefcase shut. "It's done," she said. "House, business, money, kids. You kept everything that was yours and got back everything he took." I should have felt like dancing. Instead, I just felt quiet. 11 years, and it ended in one afternoon with a document he'd forgotten he signed. I drove home to my house, on the deed in my name, and walked in the front door with my own key. My kids were at the table doing homework. My grandmother's chair was back in the corner where it belonged. For the first time in over a year, the house was just ours. And on the kitchen counter, where his bank statements used to sit, there was nothing of his left at all. The settlement was final by the summer of 2026. It fit on 2 pages. The house, mine. The firm, mine, 100% by his own signature. The $214,000 repaid out of his half of everything we'd ever owned. The cars, the savings, the retirement he thought he'd split with me, all of it went to cover what he'd spent on Heather. When the math finished, Joel walked away with a used sedan and a box of clothes. He signed the final papers in Joyce's conference room. No lawyer. He read every page this time. Slowly, twice. "You really thought of everything," he said. "No," I said. "You handed me most of it. I just didn't throw any of it away." He slid the pages back and left. He didn't ask about the kids. He'd stopped asking by then. He tried once to come back. Months later, he showed up at my office without calling. Thinner, quieter. He sat across my desk and said he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. He asked if there was any way back. I let him finish. Then I slid a tissue box across the desk, the way Joyce slid documents across hers. "Joel, you proposed to another woman at my birthday. There's no version where you come back." I was confused, he said. "You booked a venue," I said. "Confused people don't put down deposits." I walked him to the door. He didn't come back again. Here's where everyone landed. Heather disappeared from Springdale. The job was gone, the car was gone, and the judgment followed her. Last I heard, she'd moved 2 states over and changed how she spelled her name online. She surfaced once under the new spelling, posting like none of it happened. Someone recognized her from the video within a day. The new account didn't last a week. She'd built her whole image on a man who wasn't hers, with money that wasn't his. When both ran out, so did she. The wedding dress she handed back in a parking lot sat in an evidence box until the case closed. Then I had Joyce donate it. Somebody's getting married in it who actually means it. Joel's mother never apologized. She sent one card, months later, that said, "I hope you find peace." She'd hung her family photo over my wedding picture and brought a quitclaim to my kitchen, and now she wanted me to find peace. I didn't write back. My kids see her twice a year, supervised, same as their father. Joel moved from her couch to a rented room across town. The sales job never took him back. The video had 11 million views and his name was in the comments of all of them. He applied to places that Googled him first. For a while he drove for a delivery app. A friend spotted him once, dropping food 3 doors from a couple we used to know. He left the bag and didn't knock. He gets the kids on Saturdays, supervised, 2 hours with a worker in the room. My daughter goes because I tell her she can. My son usually doesn't. I don't push either way. I just keep the door honest, like I promised them. My son started sleeping through the night again about 4 months in. My daughter stopped asking about the lady in white. We saw a counselor for a while, the 3 of us, and the counselor told me the best thing I'd done was never lie to them about what happened, so I kept not lying. My son had a school play that fall. Joel asked to come. It wasn't supervised, so he couldn't. He missed it. I filmed the whole thing from the front row and clapped loud enough for 2 parents. The firm had its best year on record. The viral story turned out to be free advertising for the most organized woman in the state. New clients called specifically because of it. If that's how she handles a betrayal, one told me, imagine how she handles a deadline. I hired 3 people. I gave my office manager a raise and a title. She'd written down a date and a time when it mattered, and it changed everything. I opened a second office in the spring. I signed the lease alone with my own pen, and nobody had to co-sign anything. I framed a copy of the operating agreement and hung it behind my desk, not as a trophy. As a reminder, always read what you sign, always keep what's yours in your own name. I took the money he repaid and didn't spend it on anything loud. I paid off the house. I put the rest in accounts with one name on them. Mine. I keep my own records now, my own logins, my own everything. I learned that the hard way, and I don't plan on learning it twice. I sold the diamond. The one from the box, the $24,000 ring he meant for her. It was mine by then, bought with my money. I sold it 2 towns over and put the check toward a college fund for the kids. The ring he tried to give his mistress is paying for our daughter's future. That's the part I like most. The empty velvet box I kept. I don't know why. It sits in a drawer in my office, next to a copy of the agreement he forgot he signed. 2 things he handed me without reading. 2 things that ended him. A woman from my gym asked me to coffee that summer. She was where I'd been a year before. Suspicious charges. A husband who showered before he hugged her. I told her 2 things. Document everything. Call a lawyer before you call him. I gave her Joyce's number. She used it. People still recognize me sometimes. You're the birthday lady, they say. Good for you. I always say thank you. I never tell them the part that matters, which is that the night I found the box, I didn't cry and I didn't scream. I made the kids lunches and I called a lawyer. Calm is a weapon nobody sees coming. My friends sorted themselves out too. The ones who liked Heather's posts and watched in silence, I let drift. The ones who showed up, who sat in that gallery on a workday, who answered the phone at midnight, those are the ones at my table now. The room got smaller. It also got real. I redid the house room by room. I painted over the spot where his mother's photo hung. I put my grandmother's chair by the window where she'd have wanted it. The home office where he used to lock the door, I took the door off the hinges. There's nothing in that house I have to hide from anyone anymore. A lawyer who works with women in financial abuse cases asked if I'd speak at a seminar. I said yes to that one. I stood in front of a room of women who looked the way I used to feel and told them the truth. The cameras at the party weren't revenge, they were evidence. In a courtroom, the difference is everything. A man asked me to dinner that fall. Nice enough. I said maybe later. I wasn't in a hurry to hand anyone a key to anything. I'd just gotten all my locks back. The video never really went away. Every few months it gets reposted and finds a new audience, and for a week Joel is the subpoena guy all over again. He changed his name on his accounts. It didn't help. Some things you can't outrun. He taught me that himself the day he forgot I might be looking. I took the kids to the lake that summer, just the three of us. My son caught a fish, my daughter screamed, and we ate dinner with our feet in the water. No phone buzzed in a bag. Nobody slipped off to whisper in a garage. I watched them laugh and noticed I'd stopped waiting for the next bad thing. I ran into one of Joel's old friends at the hardware store, the one who left the party early. He looked embarrassed. I should have said something sooner. I knew. I told him a lot of people knew. That was the part that had hurt most, and the part I'd finally put down. A buyer offered me a number with a lot of zeros for the firm. I turned it down. I built it from one laptop and kept it through a man who tried to sign it out from under me. I wasn't handing it to anyone. Joyce and I still get lunch. She keeps the 800-page file in storage, just in case, though we both know he's finished. At our last lunch, she raised her water glass the way she had at the party and said, "To the most prepared client I ever had." I clinked it. Preparation was the whole secret. There was never any magic, just a woman who kept the receipts. My mother-in-law called once more near the holidays. She wanted to talk about moving forward as a family. I told her my family was already moving forward. Then I wished her well and hung up, gently, the way you close a door you don't plan to reopen. The kids and I built traditions that were only ours. Friday movie nights on the couch his friends used to leave bottles on. Pancakes on Sunday in a kitchen where nobody drained my good coffee. Small things. They added up to a life. I threw myself a party again this year, 31. Same idea, smaller crowd, my house this time on the deed in my name. No stage, no microphone, no special announcements. My daughter helped me with the cake. My son lit the candles. My sister-in-law stood with her arm around me, the way she did the night it all came down, except this time there was nothing coming. Just cake. I leaned over the candles and the kids counted down. 31 little flames, no ring boxes, no women in white, no phone buzzing in a gym bag in the next room. I thought about the year before. The 200 guests. The man on one knee, holding a box he never bothered to open until it was too late. The whole room watching me get replaced at my own party. This year, nobody dropped to one knee. Nobody had a special announcement. Nobody reached into a jacket for a velvet box. I blew out 31 candles in my own house, with my own name on the door, surrounded by the people who stayed. Joel got the empty box. I got everything else. Stories like this leave a few quiet truths. That the calmest person in the room is usually the most prepared one. That you should always keep your name on what's yours and your records in your own hands. And that the people who sit beside you on the hardest days are the only audience that ever mattered. Have you ever stayed quiet on purpose because you already knew exactly how it would end? If you enjoyed this story, hit like and subscribe, and we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.